A zombie outbreak occurred, and I stocked up a whole dormitory with supplies. My roommate, who is obsessed with men, insisted on sending all the supplies to the male dormitory next door. I didn't want to, so she publicly announced in the male dormitory group that our dormitory had supplies and exposed me. I really want to share these supplies with the guys, but Arya thinks you are all bad people and doesn't want to take out the supplies. These words led me to be thrown into a group of zombies by robbers who broke in at night and bitten to death alive. All the supplies I had painstakingly stocked up were generously distributed by my roommate to the murderers. My roommate, with her saintly aura, was adored by the men, while I was regarded as a malicious and selfish person, and even after my death, I was still reviled by others, reborn in this life. I will definitely make my man-obsessed roommate pay the price. 1. Don't mind Arya. If she were as kind as our Nora, how could she end up like this? She deserves it. Who told her not to share the supplies with me? How can a woman keep these supplies? It's good girls like Nora who know how to share that deserve our love and admiration. Nora, who was surrounded and adored by everyone, looked at me, who was mangled by dozens of zombies, and said with a pitiful expression, "I'm sorry, Arya. In order for everyone to survive, I had no choice but to do this." Ending up like this, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not being as kind as me. Even in the apocalypse, people who are not kind won't be able to live until the end. The intense hatred engulfed my consciousness like lava. The next second, I suddenly woke up from my desk. I was actually reborn. I gasped for breath in the familiar sound of the lecture, still feeling scared. The excitement of surviving made beads of sweat roll down from my forehead. In my previous life, the end of the world came, and zombies ran amok. Due to my internship, I didn't plan to leave the school during the summer vacation, so I stocked up a whole dormitory with snacks and instant food during the shopping festival. Unexpectedly, these things became the lifesavers for my roommate Nora and me in the apocalypse. I originally wanted to rely on these supplies to survive with my roommate Nora until the zombies were subdued and the country provided rescue. However, despite my dissuasion, Nora took photos of all the supplies I had stocked up and sent them to the male dormitory group next door. She also generously said that she could share them with the guys. Guys, are you short of food? I still have a lot of food here. If you need it, my roommate can use a drone to send it to you. I refused Nora's unreasonable request on the grounds of safety. Unexpectedly, she directly sent our dormitory room number to the group and also identified me in the group as the one who didn't want to contribute the supplies. I really want to share the supplies with the guys, but Arya thinks you are all bad people and doesn't want to take out the supplies. But please don't blame her. Maybe she has a strong sense of vigilance. That night, a group of angry boys broke into the dormitory, beat me half to death, and threw me into the group of zombies. The cloudy white and blue eyes, the mottled face of flesh and skin were getting closer and closer, and countless stinky mouths bit into my flesh. The pain in my memory made me shiver. In my previous life, Nora used my supplies to win people's hearts. Under the name of kindness, she stepped on my corpse and lived a good life with that group of men. In this life, I want to see if Nora can still survive in this troubled world with her so-called kindness, without any capital. 2. You stinky men are not allowed to compete with me for my girlfriend. Nora rushed out from the corner of the lecture hall and pushed away the boy who had just tried to chat me up. Arya baby, you smell so good. I like girls the most. They are fragrant and soft, much better than stinky men. In my previous life, I was deceived by Nora's sweet words. Reborn, without the filter of her being my best friend, I can finally see clearly who she really is. Although Nora says she loves women, her actions are completely the opposite. When she surfs the internet, she would mourn for the so-called male love warriors every night, but she would scold the female victims who were secretly photographed for being indecent. Loving women is just a pretext, and loving men is her true intention. Just like now, under the pretext of protecting me, she is actually having a great time with the boys around her. Ah! Nora clenched her small fists and gently punched a boy. Dylan. You stinky man, don't look at my girlfriend's boobs. Only I can look at Arya's good figure. I'm wearing a slightly form-fitting outfit today, but normal people wouldn't pay special attention to it. However, because of Nora's shout, the boys around started looking at me with malicious eyes. I snorted coldly and pushed Nora, who was clinging to me, away. It's just boobs. What do you mean by Thunder, you are making a loud noise in public and deliberately mentioning my body parts. This makes me very uncomfortable. Do you want to embarrass me, or are you deliberately saying this to these men, using a same-sex figure to please them and establish an image of loving women? By the way, the bright smile on Nora's face disappeared. She froze for a moment and evaded my sharp gaze guiltily. Arya, I just wanted to compliment you. How could I possibly try to please stinky men? The boys around also chimed in. Yeah, aren't you being too sensitive? You're starting to be a feminist now. Feminists are so narrow-minded. She even scolds such a lovely girl like Nora. It's really too much, Nora said anxiously. Arya must be not feeling well. That's why she's being so nitpicky. Please don't blame her. It's all my fault. It's definitely not that Arya has a bad temper. Seeing the pitiful-looking Nora making concessions continuously because of me, the villain, the boys around became even more indignant. What kind of person is she? She's so grumpy. She's not even worth a single hair of Nora, the little angel. She's such a tomboy. She'll definitely never get married. I sneered silently. When the apocalypse comes, maybe these people can really rely on such stupid thoughts to make the zombies unable to bite their Qing Dynasty zombie brains. I put on my backpack and turned to leave. I can't waste time arguing with fools. There are only 7 hours left until zombies appear on campus. Now, finding a secure shelter and stocking up on supplies are the most important things. 3. The facilities in the ordinary dormitories of the school are very old, especially the wooden doors. Any adult man can kick them a few times and they will fall apart. Coincidentally, I don't want to share a room with Nora anymore either, but the school is located in the suburbs, and it's definitely too late to rush to the city to rent a place now. Grimacing, I directly rented a dormitory that is not often lived in from an international student who is participating in an event outside the city at a high price. The international student dormitory is not only located in a place with few people and quiet environment, but also, in order to take care of international students, although the facilities are not top-notch, they are much better than those in ordinary dormitories. Just take this thick anti-theft door for example. It's simply a must-have for survival in the apocalypse. Moreover, the international student dormitory building not only has an elevator, which is convenient for transporting supplies up and down, but also the dormitories are single rooms, so there is absolutely no risk of information leakage. The dormitory is equipped with various electrical appliances to facilitate the life of international students. There is a refrigerator, a kettle, and a separate bathroom water heater, all of which are available. After looking at the room, I immediately determined this as my shelter for the apocalypse. After quickly paying 2 weeks' rent, I called a campus errands service and bought 30 boxes of instant noodles, 20 boxes of compressed biscuits, 40 barrels of drinking water, and various emergency products and had them directly delivered to the dormitory building, adhering to the principle of getting something for free if possible. I directly borrowed a high-powered telescope, several baseball bats, and ropes from the school equipment room. I also asked a senior from the School of Medicine to buy some Chinese and Western medicinal materials that could be used at a low price from the medical institution where she worked part-time. I also managed to get 50,000 yuan from various lending platforms with my meager credit limit as a college student. With this 50,000 yuan, I directly rented a car with a wave of my hand. While waiting for the car, I dialed the number of my home. The moment I heard my mother's voice again, I finally felt that I was truly alive. Under the high pressure, I couldn't help but cry. Arya, why are you crying? Have you been wronged at school? I didn't have time to explain. I quickly told her everything I knew. Mom, please believe me, a zombie outbreak is about to happen. You and Dad should go stock up on supplies now. No matter what happens outside in 7 hours, don't open the door. Although my mother was a bit puzzled, out of trust in me, she readily agreed. Only then did I feel relieved. After getting in the car, I paid the driver extra to step on the gas pedal to the floor and drove all the way to the city. I first bought a solar battery to solve the electricity problem, and then bought an alcohol stove. Although during the apocalypse, dry food and compressed biscuits will definitely be the main food, I still need to treat myself occasionally. So I not only bought all kinds of my favorite fruits and vegetables, and beans, but also bought 10 live chickens and ducks each, 10 marinated chickens and ducks, 10 caddies of various frozen seafood, and dozens of caddies of cured meat and ham that can be stored for a long time. I also bought various vegetable and fruit seeds so that I can eat fresh fruits and vegetables at any time to supplement vitamins. In the afternoon, I bought some self-defense weapons such as military shovels and spiked clubs from a martial arts coach I knew before. I transported the things from the elevator to the room, then closed the thick anti-theft door of the international student dormitory. Without stopping, I ran to the express delivery point to pick up all kinds of snacks and instant food that I bought during the shopping festival. When I went to pick up the express delivery with a small cart, I deliberately took photos of the express parcels piled up like a hill at the express station, set them to be visible to the few people who came to rob room 3062 in my previous life, and posted a 9-grid photo on my WeChat moments. I picked up the express delivery for my roommate Nora. There are so many delicious things. Nora, the snack tycoon. Soon, there were all kinds of sour comments under this moment's post. Eric, women are really good at spending money recklessly. Are you the so-called materialistic woman everyone is talking about? Dylan, you women are so wasteful, buying so much. Won't you exhaust your future husband to death when you get married? I sneered and replied to each comment, emphasizing, these were all bought by Nora during the shopping festival. I'm just helping her pick them up. In my previous life, didn't Nora like to treat my supplies as her own? This time, I'll grant her wish. In everyone's eyes, these supplies belong to her now. Whether she has the life to keep them or not is none of my business. After making sure that this group of robbers had all received this news, I dragged the small cart and walked towards Building A of Zhenglan Yuan, the female dormitory building. When I returned to the old dormitory room 3062, I opened all the express parcels and stuffed all the food and the clothes that could be used into 2 large suitcases and an extra large moving bag, while Nora wasn't back. I also tied the camera I just bought to the cabinet in the old dormitory. When I stepped out of Building A again, I was fully armed. I wrapped myself from head to toe with a mask, sunglasses, and a sun-protective coat, for fear that someone would recognize me. Under the big sun, I ran until I was sweating all over. Finally, I managed to get back to the international student dormitory just in time before the zombie outbreak, since there was still some time left. I followed a video and taught myself how to assemble a solar panel. Then I hung thick blackout curtains on the windows. After arranging the supplies neatly according to their categories and shelf lives, I straightened my sore back and looked at the full supply of food in the dormitory. Only then did I completely relax. As long as there are no accidents, I can just stay in the dormitory like a hamster. While there was still hot water, I took a careful bath, washing away all my fatigue and dust. Habitually, I turned on my phone, the message I anonymously posted in the school's large group in the afternoon, which said that a deadly infectious virus was spreading and everyone should stock up on supplies and go out less, was not believed by anyone at all. Instead, it attracted a lot of ridicule and sarcasm. We are all college students, and you're still being childish. Spreading false information is crazy. If you have anxiety disorder, go see a doctor. Don't act crazy in the group. Who is this person? The group owner should kick him out. I originally sent this message to have a clear conscience. Now that no one believes it, I will respect other people's fates, so I simply put down my phone and looked out the window at the gray sky. A dull thunderclap accompanied by lightning that tore through the gray sky set off the wailing on campus. Through the telescope, the teaching building where the zombies first appeared in my previous life was already in chaos. Students and teachers were scrambling to run out. Some people jumped directly into the lake and swam quickly to the other side, thus narrowly escaping, but more people lost their lives to the zombies. I drew the curtains to block the bloody scene. Before I could completely calm down, the phone beside me suddenly rang. Nora, hello. Arya, where are you? I'm so worried about you. Can you still get back to the dormitory? I perfunctorily replied, I'm fine, I'm in the school library. She pretended to be anxiously concerned about me for a few words, but soon revealed her true intention. Arya, I remember you bought a lot of snacks during the shopping festival. Where did you put them? Don't worry, I won't take them all for myself. I will find a way to save you back. I laughed. It's better to believe that I am Wu Zetian than to believe that Nora will come to save me. They are probably at the express delivery point. I haven't picked them up yet. Nora, what? Didn't you put them in the cabinet? Hearing Nora's flustered voice coming from the phone, I raised my eyebrows. As if I had discovered something remarkable, I turned on the monitoring screen of room 3062. After hanging up the phone, Nora obviously didn't believe what I said. In the monitor, she rummaged through the cabinets with a fierce expression but found nothing. She looked at the cabinet in disbelief and said, obviously, in the previous life, she hid her supplies in the cabinet. What's going on? Very good. I curved my lips. It turned out that Nora was also reborn. Compared with taking revenge on her who hadn't done anything yet, taking revenge on a villain with memories is much more satisfying. 5. On the third day of the apocalypse, it was already in chaos outside, wherever the telescope could reach. There were zombies dragging their rotten flesh and showing their white bones, pouncing and biting the fleeing students everywhere. There were also quite a few slow-moving zombies wandering around Yakinjiwan, which is a place with few people and is relatively remote. The various hot topics on major platforms of the mobile phone were all replaced by the word zombie. Douyin was even filled with videos about zombies and zombie tides, with the experience of the previous life. I didn't react too much to the fact that humanity had completely fallen, but the dormitory group of Zhenglan Yuan was already in an uproar. It's so terrifying. This is much faster than the zombie outbreaks in movies. In less than half a day, the whole school has fallen. Damn it, I woke up and it's the end of the world. Fortunately, I skipped class and was sleeping in the dormitory when the zombie outbreak happened. Otherwise, I would definitely be dead. I'm on the first floor of Building A in Zhenglan Yuan. Almost all the dormitories on this floor have been broken into by zombies. I hid in the utility room to survive. Someone come and save me. No one in the group responded. Everyone was now worried about their own safety, and no one had the spare energy to save others. In the previous life, Zhenglan Yuan was a horrible scene. Zombies constantly wandered in the corridors of the lower floors. Once a louder sound was made, the zombies would break down the door and enter. Fortunately, I promptly reinforced the doors and windows with the wooden boards removed from the table, and Nora and I managed to escape. In this life, Nora imitated me and barely nailed the old dormitory windows shut. However, relying on her memories of the previous life, she just waited to snatch my stocked supplies and was so stupid that she didn't stock up on any supplies at all. She had been hungry for 2 days and now she could only hide under the covers, shivering and sending private voice messages to men. Can you bring me some supplies? I've eaten all my food. Woohoo, I'm so scared. Brother Dylan, Brother Eric, Brother Shinbai, is she listing dishes? I sneered. It turned out that all these good brothers were just fish in her pond, compared with the indignation of those boys in the previous life. They were obviously much colder in this life. They just offered some perfunctory words of comfort and then there was nothing more. After all, the halo of a saint without supplies is like a pile of loose sand, without even the need for the wind to blow. It will fall apart after taking a few steps. Seeing that no one paid attention to her, Nora looked dejected and pursed her lips. Without my supplies as a temptation, that group of profit-seeking people certainly wouldn't support her like they did in the previous life. But I still underestimated Nora. Under her show of weakness, there were actually 2 loyal simps who didn't care about their own safety and were willing to send supplies to Nora's dormitory using a drone. However, I don't want to let Nora get what she wants so easily. Looking at Nora in the monitoring screen who seemed to have fainted from hunger, I casually opened the group chat of the male dormitory in Building A and sent a message that was sure to cause an uproar. 6. I used the secondary account I had applied for in advance to guide the public opinion in the male dormitory group. Guys, I received a private message from Nora asking for supplies, but I seem to remember that she bought a lot of things during the shopping festival. Could she be trying to deceive us into giving her supplies by taking advantage of our kindness? Immediately, some of Nora's loyal simps jumped out to oppose. Knight of Princess Nora, Nora is so innocent, how could she deceive us? Stop trying to muddy the waters. Gun and Rose on standby for Nora. That's right, Nora is kind and innocent. She must be extremely hungry to send out a distress signal. If you don't want to help her, that's fine, but you're still slandering Nora. Who do you think you are? Dylan suddenly popped up. Shut up first. I remember now. Nora's roommate pulled a cart full of food from the express station that day. There must be supplies in Nora's dormitory. Afraid that everyone wouldn't believe him, Dylan quickly sent a screenshot of my WeChat Moments post, which I had already deleted, to the group. Guys, we've really been deceived by that bitch Nora. I seized the opportunity. Nora is trying to hoard goods and drive up prices. Now that she has received the goods, when we're almost starving to death, she will definitely ask us to buy from her at a high price. Isn't she taking advantage of the kindness of our classmates? Many people immediately echoed and agreed. That's right. What do you mean? Come out and explain. You have supplies but still ask us to send supplies to you. You have ulterior motives. Nora, if you have the guts to deceive us for food, have the guts to speak up. I was so blind to think you were kind. Damn it, you stinky bitch. Nora, I stared at the continuous stream of abusive words in the group and laughed coldly. Although it's ironic, this is indeed the best reward for Nora's long-standing habit of being obsessed with men. I just hope she can firmly receive this blessing. 7. This group of people not only started scolding Nora, but also some busybodies directly added my main account to the group, and they kept at ing me, asking me to come out and identify Nora. I hummed a song while picking vegetables and cutting meat, not in a hurry to speak at all. The best time for me to step in is when the public opinion in the group has fermented to its peak. Even if the group is in an uproar, I have to focus on filling my stomach first. I took out the alcohol stove, added scallions, ginger, and garlic according to the cooking method of my hometown and stir-fried the hot pot base until it was cooked. After adding water, I could boil a pot of bubbling red soup that perfectly replicated the taste of the hot pot in my hometown. After preparing the hot pot base, I threw in the pre-processed cured meat, smoked meat, sausage, beef balls, a quarter of a pig's knuckle, a whole bunch of greens and mushrooms, and my favorite duck blood to cook together. While I recorded a video of the pot with my phone, the duck blood, which was the easiest to cook, was also ready. I happily took a bite of the tender and smooth duck blood dipped in Aria's special dipping sauce and took a sip of the cola just taken out of the refrigerator. It's just one word, awesome. The pig's knuckle with thick subcutaneous fat was soft, springy, spicy, and refreshing. With a poke of the chopsticks, it broke apart, and the rich collagen melted in my mouth. I also specifically added a lot of fresh and smooth greens and mushrooms to relieve the greasiness. This hot pot was simply amazing. After having a full meal and feeling satisfied, I slowly ate some fruits and sent the hot pot video I just took to the male dormitory group. I was having hot pot with Nora just now and was too busy to reply. As the old saying goes, people don't worry about having little but about uneven distribution. This is especially true in the apocalypse. The people in the group were short of supplies. When they saw others happily having hot pot in the dormitory and thought about their own bleak situation, the contrast must have made them feel more painful than death. Sure enough, as soon as this sentence was sent, it was like water splashing into hot oil, causing a huge commotion. What did I say? They're having hot pot in their dormitory, and there are still some idiots sending supplies to Nora. Why should we eat bran and swallow vegetables while these two women monopolize so many supplies? UNAMP. In the monitoring screen, Nora was finally woken up by the continuously vibrating phone. She looked at the group chat of the male dormitory, and her face instantly turned from white to green. She immediately explained in the group, "No, it's not like that. I really don't have any supplies, and I'm the only one in the dormitory. You have to believe me." Secondary account. It would be crazy to believe you. It's bad enough that you have supplies but don't want to share them with us, and you even asked the guys to send supplies to you. You clearly want to take advantage of our kindness to seize the supplies. Night of Princess Nora. Damn it, I was really blind. I didn't realize that you, Nora, are such a heartless woman who only cares about herself and doesn't care about other people's lives. Gun and Rose on standby for Nora. If you divide the supplies equally among everyone now, we'll forgive you for the time being. Otherwise, you just wait for it. Nora's face showed signs of collapse, and she sent voice messages incoherently. I swear I didn't hide any supplies. If I have any selfish motives, I'll die a horrible death. And I'm really the only one in the dormitory. Aria is lying. It's her who has the supplies. She must have taken all the supplies to another place. I slowly curled up the corners of my mouth. The fish had taken the bait. 8. This was the most powerful moment to refute Nora. I immediately sent several pictures of room 3062 piled high with supplies to the group. There were stacks of large boxes of instant noodles in different flavors, various types of canned goods, and dozens of boxes of self-heating mini hot pots on the floor of room 3062. In addition to the instant food, all kinds of high-calorie snacks not only filled the cabinets, but the extra ones were all piled on the table where Nora had pasted a lot of her own photos. As you can see, the table in the photo is exactly the same as the one in Nora's selfie. It's clear who is lying. I had deliberately transported the supplies to the old dormitory to take these photos. Just for the moment to identify Nora, there are no supermarkets or canteens around Zhenglan Yuan. If someone wants to stock up on supplies, it's too risky to go too far, so the first targets are the dormitories in the male and female dormitory buildings of Zhenglan Yuan that have supplies. This is also the reason why I tried my best to prevent Nora from revealing that our dormitory had stocked supplies in the previous life. But she still chose to expose it and establish an image of a saint by stepping on my corpse. In this life, I just want to use her own means against her. I used my main account to imitate Nora's tone and sent a voice message in the group. Nora does have supplies. I originally wanted to send some to everyone using a drone, but Nora didn't want to share with our classmates, and I couldn't persuade her. Nora became anxious. Don't listen to her nonsense, everyone. I can turn on the video to prove it. I really didn't hide any supplies, you have to believe me, but the people in the group had completely lost trust in her. Before she could turn on the camera for the video, she was kicked out of the group chat by the angry administrator. I ignored the repeated abuse of Nora in the group and casually switched to the monitoring screen of room 3062. In the monitoring screen, Nora drank up the last drop of instant noodle soup and even rummaged through the trash can, but she couldn't find a single grain of food. Seeing that her attempt to ask the brothers in the male dormitory for supplies had failed and she was so hungry that her front and back were sticking together, she turned her target to the female dormitory. Usually at school, Nora was busy shuttling among the boys like a colorful butterfly. On the surface, she called the girls she knew honey. But behind their backs, she either criticized their looks or called them green tea. I don't know how many girls in Building A had been gossiped about by her. Now, Nora was sobbing and sending a distress signal in the female dormitory group. I'm Nora from room 3062. I'm about to starve to death. Can anyone spare me some supplies? Only girls can help girls at this critical moment. I know girls are the kindest. Please save me. After a long time, Nora received a private message. I can exchange supplies with you. I zoomed in on the monitoring screen. It was a message sent by Victoria, the top student in her major who lived next door. Usually, Nora thought it was impossible for a girl to be the top student and had even questioned her to her face, but at this moment, Victoria still chose to respond. Her weak voice also came through the monitoring. I have stocked up on some bread here, but I just got my period and I don't have any sanitary napkins. Do you have any sanitary napkins? Nora stared at the 7 or 8 packs of sanitary napkins and overnight pads on the table. Her eyes turned twice as if she had thought of something, and then she whispered and complained, selfish person, she has to exchange something for a little food from me. She grabbed the sanitary napkins and overnight pads and threw them into the cabinet, and then sent a voice message pretending to be concerned. Are you okay, Victoria? I'm really to blame, I don't have any sanitary napkins here either. Although Victoria was disappointed, she still threw 3 packs of bread and a bottle of water to Nora from the balcony. Nora thanked her profusely, but then she turned around and sent photos of the sanitary napkins to different boys. Does brother need sanitary napkins to cushion his feet? I can endure my period, but it's too hot. Brother will feel much more comfortable using sanitary napkins to absorb sweat. But a red exclamation mark indicating being blocked popped up in front of each message. Nora's idiotic remarks made me roll my eyes. While I was so angry with her that I almost had a heart attack, I also felt that Victoria didn't deserve this. Her practical help didn't make Nora feel grateful at all. Instead, she only thought of using sanitary napkins, which are essential for girls' survival, as foot pads for men who don't have uteri, whether in the previous life or this life. Nora's halo of a saint only shines on men. She has thoroughly implemented her misogyny and obsession with men. However, there is one thing Nora said that is actually right. It is indeed getting hotter and hotter. The temperature has even exceeded 43 degrees today. As soon as I open the curtains, I can feel the intense scorching of the ultraviolet rays. The zombies are also becoming more and more agile, completely different from their slow-moving appearance when the temperature was low before. I closed the doors and windows to prevent the hot air from flowing in. The dormitories in the school don't have air conditioners, so I had to take out the previously prepared saltpeter powder, find 2 buckets of different sizes, fill them with tap water, and use the saltpeter to make ice cubes the size of a watermelon. By blowing a fan towards the ice cubes, I could cool down the whole room during the most difficult times. 9. I was enjoying the coolness in the sweltering heat and was about to fall asleep when the alarm sound of the monitoring suddenly rang. I instantly woke up. There was only one reason for this monitoring to sound the alarm, which was that something had broken into the room. At this time, the ones breaking into room 3062 were either zombies or robbers. I immediately opened the monitoring on my phone. In the screen, a group of people broke into room 3062 under the cover of night. There were 7 or 8 people in this group, with Dylan leading the way, and the rest were also boys who usually bossed around at school. I counted, there were actually 2 more people coming this time compared to those who broke into room 3062 in the previous life. I rubbed my eyes and zoomed in on the monitoring screen. Weren't these the 2 simps who had turned from fans to haters of Nora in the group just now? Night of Princess Nora, and Gun and Rose on standby for Nora. These 2 people barged in aggressively with fierce eyes, which was completely different from their usual appearance of flattering Nora. They rummaged through the dormitory but didn't find even a single grain of rice. Dylan, who was in the lead, slapped Nora hard. Where did you hide the supplies? Nora covered her swollen cheek, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. Brother Dylan, how could I hide anything from you? This is all that bitch Aria's scheme. Dylan gave her a fierce glare. You're so disgusting, saying one thing to our faces and doing another behind our backs. Stinky bitch, if you take out the supplies now, I can still spare your life, otherwise, you'll be our food. He dragged Nora to the window and threw half of her body outside. Seeing a living person, the zombies downstairs howled with excitement. When Nora was pulled back up, she was shaking all over and rubbing her hands in a panic. Brother Dylan, I really don't have any, but Victoria in room 3061 has supplies. She sent me bread a few days ago. You go and rob her, go. I felt a chill all over my body when I saw this. The wickedness of human nature was completely revealed in Nora, this ungrateful person. I could see that Dylan and his gang had shifted their target, but I definitely couldn't let them hurt the innocent right under my nose. I gritted my teeth and remotely pressed the alarm function of the monitoring camera. A huge siren immediately sounded in room 3062. The zombies wandering downstairs were instantly attracted and swarmed up to the 3rd floor. Soon, the dilapidated door of room 3062 was broken open by the zombies again. In the deafening noise, Nora also found the source of the sound. She stared at the camera with a ferocious expression, as if she wanted to tear me apart through the screen. The last scene that came through before the surveillance camera was damaged was the image of more than a dozen zombies with twisted limbs swarming into room 3062. The sirens suddenly stopped, and the whole floor was deathly silent. Only the zombies that had lost their targets were wandering aimlessly. I frowned and maneuvered the drone smeared with pig's blood to fly up to the 3rd floor. Hovering above the ceiling of room 3062 for a long time, there were several dead bodies of men on the ground. But there was no sign of Nora. After making a round of inspection, I didn't linger any longer. I directly used the drone to lure the dozen or so zombies on the 3rd floor out of the female dormitory building, hoping to buy more chances of survival for the people still in the dormitory. 10. After Nora disappeared, I continued to stay in the room, watching the variety shows I had downloaded in advance. The ice made from saltpeter every day was enough to cool me down. Outside, the sun was scorching hot, and the temperature of nearly 50 degrees Celsius seemed to be able to crack the cement ground. However, I was leaning against the ice cubes, blowing the fan, and drinking cold drinks. It was really comfortable. Just as I went to check the growth of the bean sprouts placed on the windowsill, a pair of greenish eyes met mine through the gap in the curtains. Zombies. Have they evolved to the point of being able to climb walls and roofs? I instantly felt cold all over. Sat down on the ground, held my breath, and stared fixedly at that gap. The ragged flesh I had imagined didn't appear. Instead, a fluffy paw and pinkish meat pads were frantically scratching at the window. Meow. In order to prevent the cat's meowing from attracting the attention of others, I put on protective gloves before opening the window and grabbed the kitten by the neck to lift it in, to prevent this little thing from mutating after being infected. I temporarily locked it in the bathroom to observe its condition. After one night passed, this thin and lean tabby cat showed no signs of abnormality. Looking at its pitiful appearance, I couldn't help but feed it some chicken. Feeling the soft fur in my palm, I softened my heart and took it in, naming it Lemon. After all, in the apocalypse, I could only stay in this small dormitory. Having a little cat by my side could also help adjust my mood. 11. On the 10th day of the apocalypse. The school lost power completely, but I had food in my hands, so I wasn't worried. I stared at the surveillance outside the door while drinking the delicious cream of mushroom soup with a rich milky flavor. From time to time, I picked out a shrimp and fed it to Lemon to reward it for its hard work in patrolling the territory at night. At first, I planned to keep this fluffy little guy just to relieve boredom, but Lemon, with its genes as a rural tabby cat, was very conscious. It not only wouldn't meow randomly, but it would also bite me awake when there was a noise at night. After having a full meal, I slumped in the chair and took a nap. Lemon also lay contentedly on my stomach, and its tail flicked back and forth, hitting the armrest. Just as I was dreaming, my stomach suddenly ached, as if I had been kicked by something. I opened my eyes and found that Lemon was arching its back towards the door. All the fur on its body was standing on end, and it was staring ahead with a look of alertness. There's something outside the door. I turned on the surveillance. In the surveillance footage, there were two people discussing something in front of the door, a man and a woman. The man had a broad back and a thick waist, and he was also a bald head, and I would recognize the woman's back even if it turned to ashes. It was Nora. She was actually still alive. I put on the earphones and turned up the volume of the surveillance, and the whispered conspiracy outside the door was clearly heard in my ears. Nora's face was ferocious, and she gritted her teeth and said, "Gavin, I checked in the school surveillance before, and that drone flew out from this dormitory area. That bitch Arya must be here." The bald man glanced at my door. "Is it this room?" Nora immediately changed her expression, and she weakly and flatteringly took Gavin's arm. "This is the room, before the apocalypse. That bitch Arya stole all my supplies and pushed me, a weak woman, out to feed the zombies. Brother, you won't refuse to avenge me, right? What's more, she took away supplies that are enough to last for several years. If brother can get my supplies back, we won't have to hide anymore." Upon hearing this, Gavin was indeed tempted. The two of them locked the security door in the corridor and prepared to break in at night. Gavin stepped forward and kicked the door. Yakinjiwan was not like the old dormitory area. It wasn't a wooden door that could be kicked open with one kick. Instead, it was equipped with a high-security anti-theft door. After this kick, the door didn't move at all. Instead, the person who kicked the door cried out in pain. I sat on the chair with my legs crossed, stroking the cat with one hand and eating melon seeds with the other, watching them from trying to break the door to using tools to pry and smash the door. After half a day's effort, the anti-theft door didn't budge, but the two people outside were exhausted. 12. Seeing that breaking in by force didn't work, Nora and Gavin changed their strategy. There was a loud knock on the door outside, and Nora shouted for help. I couldn't pretend to be dead anymore because of the noise. "Nora, have you shouted enough?" Nora, with her hair in disarray, slapped the door, crying with snot and tears, and pretending to be ignorant. She said, "Arya, it's you. You're still alive. Arya, save me. I know you're the kindest. Arya, I'm your good sister. You surely can't bear to see me die." There was hatred brewing in her eyes, and she coaxed, "As long as you let me in, I can forgive you. I can let go of the things you framed me for. You forgive me." I couldn't help laughing out loud. This is the biggest joke I've ever heard in my life. Nora couldn't control her emotions for a moment. "Arya, you're laughing at me. If it weren't for your framing, would I have ended up in this situation? Do you know how much I've sacrificed to survive?" But she quickly calmed down and started moral kidnapping. "Arya, I'm a girl. Girls should help girls, right? I know you're the kindest and the softest hearted." I sneered. "Girls should help girls, but I won't show mercy to those who side with the evildoers." But I quickly pretended to be reluctant and said, "Well, for the sake of our past relationship, I can give you a chance. Then I pretended to be in a dilemma and said, but the food stored here can only support one more person. You decide for yourselves who will leave and who will stay. Doesn't Nora love to be a saint the most? I want to see if she will sacrifice herself for others in this situation where she has to make a sacrifice. Nora knelt on the ground, and hesitation flashed across her face. Arya, do you really want to watch me die? Gavin is also a living person. Can you be a little kinder? Let both of us in. If you don't want him to die, why don't you give up your chance to live? I spat out the melon seed shell and smiled, throwing back the words she said in the previous life. Even in the apocalypse, people who are not kind will definitely not be able to survive. You will surely make the kindest decision, right? Nora's face changed immediately. Her lips trembled, and she froze in place. How is it possible? You also? No wonder you transferred the supplies in advance. Gavin pushed Nora away in disgust and affably leaned towards the peephole to flatter me. He took the opportunity to show off his muscles in front of the door. Arya, look at me. I have a body full of muscles. I'm definitely much better than this skinny bitch. Let me in. Only when we, a man and a woman, complement each other can we live a happy life. I frowned in disgust when I heard these words, but seeing Nora's desperate face, who was stabbed in the back by the man again, I felt a sense of relief. The best way to take revenge is to shatter the other person's beliefs. Nora always said that men are inherently stronger than women, that men are more trustworthy than women, that men are easier to get along with than women, and even that men are kinder than women, in this life, under my arrangement. She has suffered the betrayal of the men she loves the most one after another. I wonder how she feels about it. In the surveillance, Nora stared at Gavin blankly, with determination and madness brewing in her eyes. Gavin was startled by her blood-red eyes, but he quickly reacted and swung his arm to slap Nora. Arya, since you won't open the door for her, this bitch must have done something to let you down. I'll teach her a good lesson right away. As he said that, he spat on his hands twice, clenched his fist, and punched directly at Nora, but before the fist landed, Gavin's body swayed, and with a thud, he fell to the ground. Nora pulled out the fruit knife from Gavin's body. She seemed to be relieved and crazy at the same time, crying and laughing as she pounced on the anti-theft door and pounded it hard. Open the door, Arya. I'm the only one left outside now. I admit I was wrong. What the hell is kindness? I really know I was wrong. I will never believe in men again. We can get through the apocalypse together just like you said in the previous life. I picked out a suitable military shovel from a pile of weapons and sneered coldly. Selling out her roommate is not kindness at all. Nora really has the nerve to put on a grand show and praise herself. I said, look at the blood on your hands. You just killed a person for your own chance to live. You're essentially a selfish viper. So vicious that I don't even want to open the door for you. What should I do? After hearing these words, Nora's eyes became fierce. She suppressed her violence and hatred and said softly, I had no choice. If I hadn't taken action, he would have killed me. I just want to live. Arya, you will understand me, right? I sneered in my heart. So Nora also knows that living is more important than being kind. But in the previous life, when she let the wolf into the house and caused my tragic death and accused me haughtily, why didn't she think of this at this moment? As I was staring at the surveillance, I suddenly noticed that the hand of the corpse behind Nora twitched. I zoomed in on the screen and found that when Nora turned her back to the corpse would stare at her with malicious eyes. I raised my eyebrows, and a bold idea came to my mind. Is that so? Well, since I'm soft-hearted, come in. The moment I opened the door, Nora suddenly showed a fierce look in her eyes and swung the knife at my face. At the critical moment, Lemon jumped up and hit Nora's stomach, making her stumble. I successfully dodged the blade, picked up the military shovel with my left hand, and struck Nora hard on the head, knocking her to the ground and making her unable to get up. Seeing this, Gavin, who wasn't completely dead not far away, staggered to his feet. I quickly retreated into the room and watched the fight from the sidelines. Human civilization hasn't collapsed yet. I don't want to dirty my hands for someone like Nora. Letting them kill each other is the best outcome. Gavin, clutching his knife wound, staggered up to Nora and stopped. He stepped on Nora's face and cursed while spitting out blood foam. Damn it, you thought I would die so easily. I held on to my last breath just to kill you, you backstabbing bitch. "You skinny bitch. How dare you try to kill me?" Nora wriggled and struggled under Gavin's feet, stretching out her bloody hand towards the door and shouting hoarsely, "Arya, save me, save me." But I'm not a saint, and I don't want to waste my energy on my enemy. I just watched coldly as half of her body was turned over the iron railing by Gavin and hung in the air, calculating how to deal with this bald guy later. Nora's trembling hand holding the pole was pried off the railing by Gavin one finger at a time. Seeing that she was about to be thrown down, she stared at the bald man viciously. "Son of a bitch. Even if I die, I'll take you, you beast, down with me." Nora held on to Gavin tightly and jumped downstairs on purpose. Gavin, who was already seriously injured and unsteady on his feet, was pulled down by Nora with all her might. The force of gravity made both of them fall off the building. I quickly opened the door and looked down from the stairwell. Nora was pinned to the ground by Gavin's body, lying in a pool of blood, with her eyes staring fixedly at the roof. Looking at Nora's tragic death, I felt a little sad, but not much, after all. She died at the hands of the men she loved the most. The smell of blood attracted the zombies that had been hungry and thirsty for a long time. Soon, the sound of flesh being gnawed on rang out in the silent Yakinjiwan. Nora's body was eaten by the zombies, which can be considered as avenging my death without a whole body in the previous life. 13. ZZZ. All survivors, please go to the shelter in the south of the city. There, the official will provide the highest level of protection. For nearly half a month, the human shelter in the south of the city has been sending signals to the survivors. After Nora died, I stayed in the dormitory with Lemon for half a year. The hot weather at the beginning of the zombie outbreak was gone forever, replaced by extremely cold weather. It was snowing heavily outside the window, and the temperature dropped from over 40 degrees Celsius to minus 20 degrees Celsius overnight. I would look for signs of living people through the telescope every day, but I found nothing. The campus was desolate, and even the zombies moved slowly due to the low temperature. One day, I even saw a zombie downstairs fall headfirst into the thick snow because its joints were stiff. Now, the danger from zombies has been greatly reduced. If I go out, it's time to set off for the human shelter. If I stay here any longer, I'll either starve to death when the supplies run out or freeze to death due to the continuously dropping temperature. I put on 3 of the thickest down jackets, threw all the lightweight and durable compressed biscuits and meat cans into my bag. I put on the modified kitten down jacket for Lemon, picked up the military shovel, and set off for the south of the city with high spirits. 14. The campus was so quiet that only the sound of snowflakes falling could be heard. I was actually reborn. I bay, it seems that only you will accompany me to the shelter. When I turned around dejectedly and was about to leave, countless red laser pointers shone in front of me, lighting up a path to the underground garage for me. There are still people alive. Realizing this, I couldn't help but burst into tears. At the exit of the underground garage, there were more than a dozen people standing, almost all of them young people, and among them was my classmate Victoria. I threw myself into her arms. My nose was sour, and I burst into tears. Victoria took me to the temporary shelter they had set up in the underground garage, made me a cup of warm milk tea, and said with a smile, "We saw you wandering around in the snow and thought you were a crazy zombie." I smiled through my tears while holding a certain brand of milk tea. "Then you still dared to show me the way. Aren't you afraid that I'm really a zombie?" Victoria held Lemon in her arms and couldn't put it down, saying, "You should thank your master. If it weren't for the fact that only humans would be so crazy about petting a cat, we really wouldn't have recognized you." "Definitely, this little guy is my lucky star." I smiled and stroked Lemon's tail that was swinging back and forth. I really didn't expect that a little bit of my kindness at that time could bring such a great return. If I were to go to the shelter in the southwest alone, if I encountered some crazy people on the way, the risk factor would be too high, but now it's different. Thanks to Lemon, I can travel together with more than a dozen classmates. We drove several cars with full tanks of gas from the underground garage, although we met some people with ulterior motives on the way. They were intimidated and driven away by our motorcade at the very beginning. After 4 days of trekking, we finally found the shelter in the south of the city. The moment the iron wire gate opened, the north wind blew the snowflakes onto my face as I wept with joy, and they were instantly melted by the burning tears. We were really saved.